Hello and welcome to the Netflix and Chill podcast, the podcast where two unqualified young men attempt to critique a randomly chosen film on Netflix. In an attempt to make this as simple as possible, we have devised a profoundly complex process of semi-randomising the results. Each week we'll draw out a rating and genre from a hat, then each man will select two films from a database that meet the criteria. These four films then go into a hat again, and we randomly select one to watch that week. And then chill. Hello and welcome to the Netflix and Chill podcast. I'm James.
I'm Dan.
This week we'll be looking at Maiden Trip, which is a film about sailing, and we're also going to be discussing some school stories later on. So start off by just getting into the film, I guess.
Yeah.
So do you want to start with a quick overview of what the film's about, basically? We said sailing, but...
This is the story about Laura Decker, a 14-year-old girl who was originally born in New Zealand, I think,
Yeah.
but grew up in Holland.
Yeah.
But
Doesn't want to be from Holland.
Yeah, doesn't want to be from Holland, but she wants to sail around the world.
Yeah, and she'll be the youngest person. So it's a documentary.
Yeah, I don't know if the record still stands.
No, I don't know.
I didn't look into it.
Yeah. After an hour and a half of sailing, I was over it.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, the first thing I thought from the off, which is what the film started on, was, is there not some legality about this whole situation? I was like...
Yeah, what do you think about that? Do you think that people, like the justice system or government, were right to get involved with what she wanted to do? Because personally, I just sort of thought, let her do what she wants. Like, her going off sailing around the world didn't impact anybody else.
But the problem is that what if she would have died or got injured? I mean, that was where they're stepping in. Is it the parents' fault then? And then do they prosecute the parents for negligence or whatever? I mean, that's the kind of...
I don't think so, really.
But I mean, because she's 14, so the parents take whole responsibility.
I mean, if they give her permission to do it...
Is that their fault? But then, if they give her permission to sail around the world and she dies... But I guess that's a situation they've got to think about.
Yeah, but if they're willing to accept the consequences...
I suppose so, yeah.
Those should be theirs to accept.
I mean, I get it was tough for me because when they first discussed that, I was like, yeah, she wants to do it, but then it's pretty dangerous. But I don't know. I kind of felt like, I don't know what I felt like.
I just thought, let her do it, really.
Yeah.
Like,
I was torn. I was emotionally torn.
I understood why people were getting involved, but I think just let her do. Her and her parents, as long as her parents give her permission, let her do what she wants.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the point is that she's 14. Do you just wait 2 years? But I don't know.
I mean, we should say here as well that some of this film is in English. Some of it is subtitled.
In Dutch.
In Dutch.
She speaks pretty good English for a...
Yeah.
For a 14. I mean, I guess they do learn it over there. Yeah, I mean, that was the first thing that came up for me, and then they kind of brushed over that kind of scene. Yeah, it's fine. We got through it. Let's get into the sailing, pretty much. It was they pretty much set off within 5-10 minutes. It was
So, I think she originally set off from Gibraltar.
Yeah, she did.
I've been to Gibraltar.
Have you? The Rock?
Yeah, I've been there. Briefly, for about 4 hours.
In the Navy.
Yeah, it was alright. It's just sort of...
Just a base.
No tax.
The tax-free 4 hours was a...
It was great.
Beautiful day.
I don't know... I don't think I'd been to any of the other places.
No, because she was the way she went was...
It was mostly islands.
Yeah, Canary Islands. And round, to past to the Americas and stuff. But yeah, she just kind of started with the sailing.
Yeah, I thought there was some nice title graphic.
Overlays.
Yeah,
they were quite nice with that.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I mean, and then another point. So it started sailing, and I think the next bit that they went into her mum a bit about that her mum hated sailing. But wasn't she sailing for the first 5 years of her life? Wasn't that?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what.
So I don't know why the mum was It can't, and I think they kind of painted the dad as this sailing, like saint, free spirit, and the mum was like, there's a bit of bitterness towards mum, I thought, in the way. Later on, I think it changed a bit, but at first,
Yeah.
because then the dad, and then eventually it went into the dark side of the dad later on.
Yeah, I think maybe that's understandable because she didn't live with a mother.
Yeah.
So I think if you're in that situation as a kid, that sort of tends to happen most of the time.
Yeah. The one thing that surprised me about the film was, I think, the lack of like there was a bit of storm, sometimes there was no wind, but there was no like dark moments. I think maybe because she was 14, they edited it out of like, there was no like crying to the camera kind of.
There was one bit sort of near the start, I think, where she'd been at sea for about a week, and she said I think it was the Canary Islands or something, she said she sailed past them, and it hit her that...
Oh yeah, because they was like far away from home.
Yeah.
But there was, I think if it was an older person, there'd be a lot more like intense emotions of like loneliness and stuff like that. I think they edited it out to be quite a nice, easy kind of journey for her. It was more about her visiting these places, going around the world, rather than this is how hard it is to sail around the world.
Yeah, I think we'll come to that a bit later, like her age and things. But yeah, I mean, I thought she was quite mature, really, for a 14-year-old.
Yeah,
I thought everything.
I know.
Quite well.
She seemed like, that's what I mean. She seemed fine. Like, I expected lots of stuff to go down, pretty much. But then she seemed all right, and she was clearly. I mean, to sail around the world, you can't be half-assing it. Yeah. Kind of like. So she must like, and that's why I kind of felt, oh yeah, you should be fine to let her go, because she clearly, it wasn't like she was forced to sail. And it was like her parents wanted to do this thing. It was like that's what she wanted to do. Like,
yeah,
she was just...
Bit of a comedy moment as well near the start, where she tries to cook ravioli, and it is disastrous.
It just goes everywhere.
It goes everywhere, and then she says, maybe I'll have something simple for tea, like soup. And I just wrote down Soup at Sea, which will be the name of my nautical-themed pop-punk band. Soup at Sea, check us out.
Yeah, that was... when she said that, I was like, well, if the ravioli went everywhere, I'm pretty sure
I think the soup is a step down.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking as well. All the food that she had, it must have been like... It was obviously all tinned, all dried noodles. It was like, oh, I don't know if I could do it, just eat that for like... But she was fine. I think at 14 you eat noodles anyway, every day.
I did, yeah. Other questions that started to arise at this point for me. What about a family emergency?
Which was a family
If there was a family emergency and she was sailing around the world, what does she do if she says, well, I'm in the middle of the Atlantic, I'll be there in a month?
I mean, she's not got a motor or anything, so she's...
Yeah. And there was no support boat or anything.
Yeah.
So if they go over the radio or whatever they were using to communicate,
and
they say, oh, there's been a terrible accident, and she has to say, well, I'll be there in 6 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you go to the nearest island and be like, get a plane.
Yeah, but still, that even
then,
it'd
take a while. Yeah. Because she didn't... Well, I thought she'd be at sea for quite a long time, but... So it like had the animated, like, the dates and stuff like that. It seemed to be like 17 days at sea, which is a long time. But she had quite a few pit stops along the way. And
I thought this was going to be a non-stop trip initially.
I thought that as well. She mentioned that though, didn't she? She mentioned some other sailors that were young, and they did non-stop, and she said, well, I want to see the world. If you just sail non-stop, you won't see anything. So she was wanting to travel as well as the sailing. Yeah,
I guess that lended itself to the documentary style, because...
Yeah, it'd be pretty boring. I guess that's what I mean, like, if it was just sailing, there probably would have been more moments of, oh, I'm so alone and stuff like that, because she's stopping off. And I was thinking, at 14, like, she seemed to make friends, like, just that American family that she, like, befriended.
Yeah, I noted that.
I was like, at 14, she's like, I'll be able to, like, just, like, it comes with the situation, I guess, but, like,
yeah,
I was like, she's clearly very mature. She just, like, becomes a new daughter to this family, pretty much, because they were, like, in love with her.
I mean, they were part of the sailor community, I think they called themselves. And I tell you, I bet there's some weird people in the sailing community.
I bet there's some old men in there.
Yeah.
There's some short shorts going on there.
That family, I don't like to accuse people, but I think they were the best.
I know, yeah. There's definitely a couple of old men rubbing around.
Yeah.
Rubbing around,
Yeah, Jesus. I mean, from the parents' point of view, like, what...
I thought that.
Like, what must they have thought of, like, a 14-year-old girl sailing, never mind sailing around the world on her own, but hanging out with, like,
Old
strangers on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Like, not even...
I know.
No safety.
I don't,
well, obviously.
I mean, there was also, it was near the end, that... It looked like he didn't want to be filmed because he was, at the end they showed him and he was like, no, don't film me.
Oh, yeah.
But was he, like, sailing with her for some of it, or who was this random...
No, I think her and... I think his name was Bruno.
I think
Bruno.
Yeah, he was in it for, like...
I think they sailed to New Zealand
at
the end. I don't think he was...
Oh, right, okay. I get you now. He's a fan.
Yeah.
Groupie.
I mean, there was
Sailing groupie.
After the fame. Yeah, I mean, talking about the sailing community, like, there was a pretty weird equator party going on.
Like, banging.
Yeah.
We were kicking off. Yeah, it was...
Magaluf at sea. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, it was... They look like friendly people. They all look friendly, but it was, like, a bit weird. Just a bit, like...
Yeah.
I won't feel 100% around you.
Yeah, Jippos of the sea.
Yeah. I mean, put it that way. We don't pay tax.
We may have to cut that bit out.
Oh yeah, this ties into the sailing community. I thought it was a boat was called Guppy, wasn't it?
Mm.
I guess that means fish, or...
A guppy is a fish.
Is it?
Yeah.
And there was a weird moment for me when she was, like, talking to the boat as if it was a person, like, which people do, like, she sails the sea or whatever. But it was just a bit weird hearing this 14-year-old girl being, like, talking to it as a she, and I felt a bit... I mean, I'm the sort of person that doesn't like people call cars, like, physical. I'm like, stop being a dick, like, it's a car. It's just a vehicle, like...
Yeah, I think that depends, though. Like, usually, I don't like people calling cars names. But certain things, I think, you do get attached to. Like... And I think an example of that would be like a ship. Like, if you spend a lot of time on a ship, you sort of humanise it.
I suppose so.
Subconsciously. Like, guitars. Like, I have names for some of my guitars.
I have a guitar. I don't name mine either. I think that's just who I am, and when I saw it, I was like...
But I don't talk to them.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I sort of give them a name so that I identify them, you know what I mean? Not that I can't otherwise, but just sort of, you know, gives it a bit of, I guess, personality.
I suppose so. I mean, if you're out... How long was she?
2 years.
2 years? It was like 500 and something there. I can't remember what it said at the end. Like the exact. So I guess in that extreme you might do, I suppose. I guess, I mean, something I wanted to talk about was, do you remember the speech she had in French Polynesia? About in Holland? It was all about money. Remember that speech? I thought at 14 I was like...
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever thought that at 14. I might have done, because I was like one of those angsty teenagers at that age. But she was like, you know, anti-money, like, you can't buy happiness kind of speech.
I think that's a bit hypocritical, to be honest, of her.
Mm.
Because she's saying, like, money doesn't matter and I don't care about money. But she had to buy the boat.
Yeah.
She had to buy supplies.
I was thinking, how much money does she have? She's stopping off all these places, buying all this food, repairing the boat. I was like... But it goes to that point, like, I guess the dad was giving her some money in a bank account kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, like, you can say that, but when you've got to earn the money, money starts to mean a lot more than it does when you're 14.
Yeah, like, on the repairs, I think her and her dad did that, so I don't think that actually cost anything. Although I could be wrong. But yeah, I think that ties into a theme that I picked up on, and it's this sort of need for independence. And rebellion, really. I put too concerned with being bored in school. Like she talks about school and she says that in Holland she'd just be in school and she'd be bored.
Yeah.
And I thought,
like, well, everyone's bored.
Is this a rational alternative?
Yeah. To not be educated for 2 years, something like. But, yeah.
Yeah, need for independence. There's some moments where she gets a bit catty with.
Yeah, what was that?
Like
what
a
was the woman's
father
name?
and some journalist or something.
Is that who she was, the journalist? Was it?
Yeah, it was somebody following her around.
Yeah, because she was, like, she turned into a teenager there and then. Like, it was, like, very grown up and then she was there. Wouldn't speak to her, like, banging stuff around and walking around the boat. And it was, like, she's 14 or 15 at that point.
But I think that... Do you not think this situation is, like, every parent's dream?
What do you mean?
Like,
what do you mean?
So, 14, probably 14 to 16, I know it varies, but they're like your worst teenage years. They're where you are proper evil.
Yeah.
So, how many parents do you think, if somebody came to your parents and said, look, I can take James, I can put him on a boat, he can sail around the world for 2 years, he will survive, he's not going to die, he will sail, that sort of thing. Do you think your parents will be like, all right, you can go? Because I know a lot of parents would say, well, no, I love him too much and I miss them. But really, I think deep down, if you gave a lot of parents the opportunity...
Nah, I don't. I disagree with that.
I think mine would.
No, I think if they said, if every time that he was like being a dickhead, could you remove him from the house? They'd say yeah. But I don't think they want you completely disappeared for 2 years. Or maybe they did, I don't know. No, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Like those years.
Yeah. Like, it's the worst time to do it as a kid. But this is the worst time to do anything like this. Like, 15-year-old me would just not have lasted like 3 days, honestly.
I know.
At 15, I couldn't cook anything.
That's what I put. I was like, if that was me, nah. Like, just nah. How dependent were you at 14, 15?
Totally.
Exactly. I mean, it's... I couldn't fathom doing it at that age. So I was like, I was thought, props that she can do that at 14. I was like...
Do you not think if your parents knew you were going to gain a bit of independence and learn how to do those things, do you think your parents would still not send you?
I don't think they would.
I
but
think
maybe
some parents would.
Some probably would. Some probably would, because boarding school and stuff like that, it's just similar essentially to that. Yeah. But mate, I don't know. We'll interview them next week. So yeah, the point so when she was talking to the journalist, I don't know if she was just doing it to be just against the journalist and be rebelling against that. But she said she wasn't bothered by the record attempt. Did you believe that she wasn't bothered?
It's difficult to tell, really. Because knowing that she's a teenager and having been a teenager, I sort of identify with the fact that, the fuck the system mentality and...
Standard.
I don't care. It's when you're a teenager, anything that anybody wants you to care about, you instinctively don't care about, or you say you don't care about, even though you do. So I think it's 50-50, really.
Yeah.
I think on a surface level she doesn't, but deep down, it concerned her, or was important to her on some level.
Yeah. Another point, to talk about the family again, just to go back to the mum, because I just noticed this point now. I thought it was... I mean, she might have known that... The mum might have known that she was seeing her later in the journey. I don't know if she had planned it, or they kind of organised it later on. But she didn't see her off. She was on vacation. Rather than seeing her daughter off on a 2-year trip around the world, she wasn't there to see her daughter off. And I thought... I mean, she saw her later on in the trip, but she said herself that she was hurt by the fact her mum wasn't there. And I kind of thought, that's a pretty big thing to miss.
Yeah, I think that varies, though. with people's situations. Like, if you don't see one of your parents often, you see them maybe like once a month or something, then I would be concerned that she wasn't there to see her off. But I think if you go a long time without seeing your parents, like years, then, you know, what's 2 years? Like, if she hadn't seen
I
him,
don't know, but I don't think it was years they didn't see each other.
No, I don't think it was, but I can see why some people's situations and family dynamics wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, every family's
people.
different, but I just thought, you know, that's a very big fucking moment in their life, and you're not there to see her off.
Yeah,
Not academic, because like when they were together later on, all was forgiven, they were fine, and she seemed like a fairly good parent. Like, obviously, I don't see it, but just at that point, I was like, that's not the right move to make, really. But
yeah, I mean,
right.
I would have been not too pleased.
I know, yeah.
Like, but you know, different strokes for different folks, I guess.
So have you got what other notes have you got on
so
there?
I got other notes just generally about these sorts of endeavours, really. Oh, maybe we'll come to that. But one thing I would say is throughout the film, she basically rethinks her whole life. Where she comes to these decisions like, I don't want to go back to Europe.
Yeah.
I'm getting a New Zealand flag. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I think if you gave anybody that amount of time on their own, like that much time to just think, I think anybody would rethink the whole life.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, given that amount of time, would just reverse all the decisions they've made in life.
Yeah. Yeah. That
So,
much time alone.
Yeah.
You're just thinking constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was sort of not really surprised by that. Because especially when you're a teenager, you're flipping back and forth.
You're changing. Changing every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have that many notes about the film itself. Thought a nice music soundtrack. Didn't really notice it.
Yeah, it was standard documentary, putting clips together, then a cut, like music or things like where they're going next and stuff like that. It was pretty standard set out documentary. And it wasn't, like I said before, it wasn't a raw documentary. It was like, as in all the nitty gritty. It was definitely pitting the story of
it jumped in time, didn't it?
Yeah. And like I was saying before, I thought it could have been a bit more gritty, but I think it was because she was 14. I think the film was more about the amazing feat of sailing around the world rather than sailing around the world itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was definitely a sort of coming of age twist on like extreme feats, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. It was about, like what I said. So, I mean, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was alright.
That's pretty much how I felt. I was like, it's alright.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's no plot, so there's nothing for me to really try and poke a hole in.
Yeah.
It, you know, sort of had an arc to it. Good times, bad times, in between, you know. So, yeah, there wasn't really that much to criticise or.
Yeah. Yeah, similar for me.
I thought Laura herself did well with the camera. You know, because they say all the when she's at sea, she's filming it all herself. I thought she did quite well there to, like, literally hold a camera and, you know, framing shots and capturing things.
Yeah, it wasn't
that sort of
a shaky, like. Yeah. It was well.
She did a good job of like explaining what's going on as well. I thought she was saying like, this is going on, going on, need to do this or whatever.
Imagine having the editing job for that.
Yeah,
like, how many hours of film were produced for this hour and a half? Were quite a bit. I mean, I've got no more points. Get more points? I can just.
I've got no more points about the film. How long have we been going for?
22 minutes.
Should we talk about these sorts of adventures? Yeah. So, do you think you could do this?
That exact thing.
At 14, do you think you could do that?
I mean, it depends how many years in advance I was training to do it.
No,
I guess.
what I'll do is I'll give you all the sailing knowledge. I'll just give that to you. But I mean more like mentally and physically. Do you think you could do it? If I told you can do it.
I've got the skills to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing, I guess another point is I have no desire to do it. So, I mean, but just if I had all the skills and they said, like, do it, like, so you got to do it, but would you be able to do it, like, would you quit halfway through? Like, you've got to set off. I don't think I could. I don't think I could do it.
Mm.
Do you think you could do it?
No.
I don't
really.
think... I wouldn't... I mean, 500 days away, you're going to be homesick. Like, everyone's going to be homesick. But I wouldn't be... I'd struggle being, 14 days in a row at sea. That would, like, just being alone for that. And I'd struggle with that, I think.
Yeah, I did write down how would you pass the time.
Yeah.
Because Laura enjoyed sailing, and I think that's what kept her mentally alright. But for somebody who doesn't like sailing, well, not that I don't like sailing, but somebody who's not got that passion for it, how do you think you would pass the time?
I don't know what you do, because she didn't have, obviously in the sea, she didn't have any, like, games or anything. It didn't seem like it, as in, like, I don't know, a Game Boy, because she had, obviously had electricity, so she could have charged stuff or whatever. But I don't know how you pass the time. You have to make stuff up when you... It's like if you're ever at work and you got really bored, like if you ever work in a boring place, you make games out of nothing. So it's like, I don't know, we had that bird friend that turned up.
And the dolphins.
Yeah, the dolphin kept us company. But I mean, it depends how much. I mean, I don't know. How would you? Could you pass the time? That probably gets me the most.
I think I could probably pass the time. Obviously, I couldn't do the sailing, but for me, it's I'd probably just read mostly.
Yeah, I don't know how.
And my one requirement would be that you have to let me have a guitar. Like,
that's true.
That would help a lot. Just read. I suppose it depends.
I don't know how kind of aware of every situation. How like at every moment of the day has she got to be? What's this measurement?
Yeah.
Or is she got hours a day of downtime? I don't know.
I think mostly that's like computers and radars and things. I think nowadays they have computers, and if limits are being exceeded, or fuel is low or whatever, I think sort of they make noises and tell you what.
Yeah.
Not tell you how to sail, but they're very computerized now. Boats like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's what kept going, being at sea. That's what she loved. So.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to her.
Yeah.
She did it.
Yeah.
Which is...
It's sort of thing, so like 14, 15, like skateboarding was like the thing. That's what you love. If someone says, oh, obviously skate this massive distance, I'd be more able to do that than I would be able to sail, because I don't love sailing kind of thing.
Yeah.
But still, mentally, that's a big like feat to do anything for that long. So I was impressed that she could do it, really. It's like fair play, love.
Any other thoughts?
My only other thoughts left is like the kind of summing it up. So if you want to go into that now, or
yeah, I'll do that, and then we'll do rate the ratings.
Oh, I mean, so bits like I said before, not enough grit for me, and was taken out because she was young, possibly. It was, like I say, it was more about amazing feat than the journey itself, and I'd enjoyed it, but I didn't feel a certain way about it. It was interesting in the fact that she was 14, travelling around the world, seeing these different places, but it didn't grip me at all. I wasn't offended by it. I just kind of liked it, and it was kind of a pleasant watch more than anything. So
yeah, I think I felt mostly the same. I would have enjoyed a bit more about the technical aspect of sailing.
Yeah,
of actually sailing. Yeah, I thought it was edited well, Obviously there was some sort of doctrine of, we've not got the whole picture there, but I thought they gave a fairly decent...
I mean, putting it as an hour and a half was good rather than 2 hours. I think that would have been.
Yeah.
It was good length. It didn't feel long whatsoever, which is always good. But yeah. Rate the ratings.
Rate the ratings. Rate the ratings, the section where we rate not the film itself, the mass consensus of Netflix users' opinion.
Oh yes. So what was the rating? It was 4 and a quarter. Yeah. So
like
a good rating, like a good score.
Yeah. So I give the rating 7 out of 10. I put pretty accurate. Could probably give or take half a star depending on you. How much sailing grips you.
Yeah. I put 6 out of 10. It's pretty similar. Just kind of. Yeah, if you're into sailing, if you're into that sort of thing, you'd really like it. If you don't, it'll be about, 3 stars.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. So overall, I mean, it was alright.
Yeah, it was alright. Okay.
General consensus. Right, so that sums up the Maiden trip review discussion. Now we're going to go into the lot. We're going to pick a new film to watch. So yeah, we're going to cut to that now. Yeah, cheers.
See you in a bit.
Right, okay, back now, going into the lottery section. So, same rules apply as last week. Got 12 genres and 3 ratings. So, if you want to know the rules, listen back, or it's in the intro as well. So, I'm going to pick first, and we're picking the genre.
Ooh, I'm shaking the hat.
It's always a big moment. I like to move them around a bit. I don't like to...
Don't fail me now,
pick
James.
the first lady that I lay my eyes on.
Gay and lesbian.
Independent.
Ooh.
I mean that's many genres under one umbrella, pretty much. Yeah.
That could be anything.
So, independent film. Now we're going to pick the rating.
Yeah, I think
Not pick the fold them over. So, the ratings, same again. 3 ratings, 5-star, 4-star, and below 3.
3 and below.
Oh, 3 and below.
I'm picking this
Apologies.
one. We take it in alternate turns each week.
Oh, aye. Right.
The pressure's on.
Get your hand in there, love. Dig deep.
A 5-star independent film.
To me, that's like a lot of my ideal films. Obviously, you want a good rating, but I like a lot of independent films, so I'm hoping for a good... Could be a good week. Because 5-star sports, which was last week, was quite slim pickings.
Yeah.
I think independent will be a lot more 5 stars because it tends to be very critically acclaimed. Well, I mean, obviously there's terrible ones, but cool. So now we both pick 2 films and they go back in the hat. So we'll come back when we've done that. Right, so now I'm going to pick the film. I've got 4 films in the hat, 2 picks from both of us. And I'm picking it out of the hat. Oh, it's your pick, but I picked it as well. In your eyes.
Oh, Jesus.
I know, that's what I didn't want.
Christ.
That's what I didn't want.
We should say here as well that there are no 5-star rated independents, so we have to drop the rating down to 5. To 4, sorry.
So, yeah, so these are, well, they're all a bit above 4, I think, aren't they?
Yeah, I think
so. Do we talk about the synopsis of this one first?
Yeah, if you want, then we'll go through
So, does 2 people meet each other, or they're in a relationship, and
they have some sort of telepathic...
Yeah, they can see what each other's seeing, and it's a romantic story.
Yeah, I picked that one really against my better judgment.
I know. I mean, it was slim pickings once again. It was,
yeah.
So what else we...
my other pick was Rudderless.
Oh, my God. Right, so we will pick the same films. So basically, there was 2 films we could have had. That was the preferred one. That one actually was... It doesn't sound amazing, but it intrigued me the most. So it was about a guy whose son dies, who was a songwriter. He then plays his songs and gets famous off his dead son's songs. And then it's about how he deals with that. But he also takes credit for his son's songs, which...
Jeez, I can't believe that's happened.
I'm really hoping next time we get a 4-star, so it's more like lots more films to pick from. I mean, like just a fucking comedy.
I have to say,
sick of this shit already.
I have to say, there's some remarkably similar handwriting here.
Scruffy, is it? Just like stopped developing after year 4
Yeah.
handwriting.
God. So
yeah.
there you go.
In your eyes. So, like we said last week, say it again. What we hope to do is get our listeners to watch the film with us. And next week we'll discuss In Your Eyes, and hopefully you watch it, send your thoughts in and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're not following us on Twitter or you can email us. So basically the links are in the description, but it's andchillpod on everything. So Gmail, Twitter,
all lowercase,
and YouTube.
all one word.
Yeah. So YouTube, SoundCloud, Twitter, email, In Your Eyes.
Get on it.
There we go. So that's the end of the film section. We're going to go into the chill section. So we're going to discuss some school shit. Cool. Right, so we're into the chill section of the podcast now, and this week's topic is school stories. So diving back into the past.
Oh, Jesus.
Dark
I
days.
didn't want to do this.
Well,
Really?
you chose topic as well.
I know, I suggested this topic as well.
But it's quite fun looking back, so I'm hoping we've got a couple of good... We don't know each other's stories as well.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of stories each, and we're just kind of... So this is our reaction, like proper reaction, not...
Yeah.
Yeah. So take it away.
So these are stories from high school, which in England, the UK, is 11, 12, up until you're 16.
Yeah.
For reference.
Yeah.
I know it works differently in different countries. So teenage years, basically.
Aye.
So this story is, I titled it, How I Lost Part of My Finger. Which I'm not
Great.
sure if... You may have heard bits of this story, but I don't think you know the whole story.
I don't know, it doesn't really ring a bell, so I'm excited.
So this story starts on a Wednesday morning in... I don't know what year it was. I will have been 13, 14.
Yeah.
We were in a French class in the morning. Probably about 9:30, something like that. Students were in the classroom, no teacher. Teacher didn't show up.
Alright.
So you've probably had experience of this, but when the teacher doesn't show up, there is great excitement.
I mean, it just goes down.
The longer the teacher doesn't show up for, the better, but also the more cautious you have to be with making noise to not attract attention.
I don't know how that happens in schools where teachers don't know that teachers aren't turning up, but somehow it does.
Yeah. So there's no teacher in the classroom, and I'm sat next to a friend at the time who we'll call Mark.
Old Marky
Not his real
boy.
name.
Marky boy.
And we're sat next to each other, and for some reason, obviously in the boredom and not excitement, but sort of giddiness of being in a classroom with no teacher, we start messing around. And we've both got pairs of scissors. You can see where this is going.
Safety scissors, I hope.
Yeah, they're really blunt and rusty. So we're sat next to each other, and for some reason, we both start snipping each other's pencil cases. Both our pencil cases are this sort of felty, like cuttable fabric.
I mean, stuff like that, but it's just like only that can happen at teenage years. We're like, let's just fucking cut these pencil cases.
Yeah. So we're cutting each other's pencil cases, like back and forth, right? And
nice
at some point, I reach over to cut his pencil case. Mark, who we were both laughing at the time, there was no anger in this, but he moves his scissors towards my hand. And I obviously didn't think he was actually going to touch me.
Yeah.
But he was doing it, I guess, to like warn me off. You know, like protecting his pencil case, I guess. I mean, I don't, you know what I mean, it's fucking mental. So his scissors meet my hand. The next thing, pain.
Blood.
Yeah. So he cuts a chunk of my it's my middle finger off. Doesn't go near the nail, but obviously with the nature of scissors, it sort of squeezes my finger at the time. So it was a chunk, you know what I mean? It wasn't a cut. It was a chunk out of my finger.
Bit came out.
So this becomes a bit of a blur at the time. So I've no idea how, but somehow I ended up stood up, and people were crowding around me because people were like, what's just happened?
Yeah.
And I remember looking at my finger and there was no blood coming out. And for like a split second, I looked at it and I was just like, oh, Jesus. And then immediately, blood just comes, pouring out. Gushing, yeah. So my instincts start to kick in. I walk out the door. Nobody follows me. I walk out the door onto the corridor. My hand is dripping, and I mean dripping with blood.
Yeah.
And the way the school was laid out, I could either go straight along a corridor and down to the toilets, or I could go down and straight along a corridor again. It was, toilets were in the same direction.
Yeah.
It was, do I go down the stairs or straight across and down the stairs? I looked down the corridor, and the deputy head of the school is walking towards me, and he's with a group of like visitors who are all wearing suits. I'm holding my finger out, it's just not pouring, but it's dripping a lot.
Yeah.
So I have to make a decision of, he's coming towards me, am I going to walk past him, or am I going to leg it down the stairs to try and avoid him? Because once he's following me, if he's coming in the same direction, I can't run.
Yeah.
I can't run down the corridor because, I think it works differently at schools, but if you were out on a corridor and you should have been in class, and the teacher comes, they ask you, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I have to put my hand in my blazer pocket and act like there's nothing wrong, and then walk down the stairs, and he's probably 20 paces behind me.
Yeah.
So obviously, hand in the pocket of a blazer when your finger's missing a chunk, not nice. Not nice at all. I never actually looked in it, but the pocket of that blazer must have been black with blood. Just in the bottom. And so I go down the stairs into the toilets, turn on the tap, and these taps weren't messing around. This is no like little dribble. You turn on the tap and it is like a jet. Finger in the sink. I don't know why. My instincts I just thought, I'm gonna have to wash this, because I can't just let it drip, whatever.
Yeah.
So at that point, it is positively a river of blood going down the sink.
Just constant.
Yeah, this is not lightly going. And mention again, nobody followed me to the toilets. Everybody stayed in class.
Fuck that guy.
So I was in there and I was stuck because I couldn't take my hand out of the sink to get like paper towels. So I couldn't really, I was sort of stuck in between. I've no idea how long went by, probably about 5 to 10 minutes. And another friend who is not Mark came into the toilets and said, are you alright? And we're just sort of looking at my finger, not really doing a lot. I wasn't like crying or anything. I was more just in like shock.
Yeah, you were.
I absolutely was not crying, I can tell you. And he gave me some paper towels, and I wrapped my finger in like those green, thick, hand towels that you have in toilets. And I said, I'm going to have to walk over to the office, which is where you go if it's like reception.
If you've missed a bit of your finger.
Yeah, if you're missing any part of your anatomy, you generally go there. So I walk over to the office, and the way the office is you sort of stand in front of a desk, and people mill about behind the desk and ignore you. So I was stood there, clump of paper towels around my hand, and this guy who was sort of like the head office guy, we'll call him Joe. He was a perfectly nice guy, but in this situation, clearly missed the finger situation. So I was stood there, and he's sort of walking back and forth, and he's going, "I'll be with you in a minute, lads." And it walks away and comes back, and then all right, what's up? And this becomes a bit of a blur. I don't really know. I think I just said I've cut my finger or something.
Yeah.
So he takes me into the back office, which is like the first aid room, and he's like, "Whoa." Then time passed. I can't really think. I didn't faint or anything. There's no fainting involved. But he gave me some sort of bandage, and one of the other teachers came and had a look and said, "I think we need to ring your parents." And then, what happened then? The friend, Mark, arrives at the office and is white in the face.
Blood on his hand.
Yeah, obviously feeling rather guilty that this has happened. He didn't mean to, and I understood that. And after I had a bandage on, Joe, the office lad, sat me down and said, "We have to fill out an accident report because this is a serious incident." And he says, like, "What happened?" So I couldn't just tell him that Mark had just cut part of my finger off.
Yeah.
So I made up some bullshit about how the scissors got stuck on my hand and I was like flicking my hand and I did it to myself.
Took on for the team there.
And it was clearly a lie.
Yeah.
Clearly a lie. He knew I was lying and kept asking me things like, "Are you sure that's what happened? Did that really happen?" Because I think maybe he thought somebody had done it on purpose, some sort of bullying thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was clearly lying.
Yeah.
But I just kept saying to him, no, that's what happened. And he said, "All right then." So the school rang my mother, who is a nurse, or was a nurse at the time. And so my mother shows up, picks me up from school. I get into the car, and she says, "Let me have a look at your finger then." So I have this white bandage on. I take the bandage off. And she just goes, "Is that it?" No sympathy. Barely any sympathy at all. Like, "Is that it?"
You pussy.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So yeah, that was it. No sympathy at all. And that was a story of how I
Bit
lost
of a hand mutilation.
Yeah, I mean, it grew back, but I can feel the scar tissue under my skin.
He's still recovering to this day.
Yeah, it's never fully recovered. I'm suing.
Mark, the boys are coming after you.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just one of my little stories, I guess.
Right, my story now. So mine's, I mean, I don't want to paint a certain. Well, we went to different schools, but my school. So I don't want to paint a certain picture of it, like in a bad light. But certain shit went down that was a bit questionable. So mine's called the Mysterious Bag. The Mysterious Bag, right. So, yeah, like I said, I hope this doesn't give you a perfect insight into my school, but... So, it's a break time. Year 10, this is, so probably 14 years old. And so you had 2 lessons, then break, then 2 lessons. So this is before the second set of lessons. And we're just kind of... Basically, everyone does, group of friends just hang around in general areas of the school. Our campus was like mostly outside, so we're all just like stood outside near walls, just doing general moody teenager stuff. Hanging around, and I hear, "Hey James, come over here." I'm like, "Well, go on." I'll have a cheeky gander. What's going on here? So I'll go over, and it's just this lad. I don't mention him much, so I won't give him a name, but it's just this guy. And he pulls out, so I'm just there. It's general school time, just a break, put on a flapjack or something. You know what it is. Just worked out for 2 lessons. So he pulls out this bag of what can only be described as a bag of assorted pills. I mean, I knew nothing about anything then, 14 years old. And to me, it looked like, it wasn't just like a bag of pills, like just the same thing. It looked like ibuprofen and then like paracetamol and then aspirin, like just completely different things. It looked like that as well.
It was a dolly mix.
Yeah, it was like pick a mix, stick your hand in. And then, so I'm just like, what's going on here? Like, what's happening? So I'm just confused, like what this bag is. I'm just stood there, just like, okay, what's this bag? And so this lad, he's like, oh, I'm gonna take some. I'm like, what is it? And
I've got a headache.
Yeah, he's like, just hurt my arms, a bit pain relief. And this lad, he's not a rugby player, not a boxer or some sort of
Athlete.
Yeah, he's just like average, uncoordinated year 10 guy, not sporty in the slightest. It turns out he's taking steroids before PE, and I'm just like, what? Why? So just this. That situation itself is just ridiculous. But so basically, before playing an hour of football or hockey, he's gonna take a few steroids, which is
I'm sure they act fast.
Yeah,
He comes out.
he got
like
massive
Hulk
legs
Hogan.
after him. Bench pressing the PE teacher after that. Since then, I don't take steroids whatsoever, but I've learned a few things since the 8 years that have passed, and they were, I don't know what he was taking, but they were not steroids.
Raging bull.
I'm sure there was some jelly beans in that bag somewhere. But so he's like,
It's a round trees mix.
So he's stood there and he just, I'm taking these. Knocks it down with an Abbey Well, if anyone knows what those drinks are. Shout out to the high schools of the north. But, so that happens. I'm just like, what happens? And he's just like, you just get good at sport and that. Just like get muscles. So I just stood there. Bell goes, pills in the bag. He walks off, and then I walk off to science, just like. Just this new knowledge of some lad in my ears taking steroids.
You've entered the roider age.
Do I tell anyone about it? Yes, so, that was it. That was the story. It was just I don't know if he's still taking them to this day. Just having a kick about on the park, just taking a few. But so yeah, that was my first story.
Side note here, with kids taking pills. There was a brief time in when I was 15, 16. I never did it, but there was a brief time at school where people would purposely take like sleeping pills.
Was it?
So they fall asleep in class. Which makes no sense.
Then you get caught, and then
No.
and then you're tired. They wake you up and you're tired.
Nobody cared. The teachers wouldn't have even been able to tell if you.
Yeah.
Like, you can't smell a sleeping pill.
Yeah.
But
It's just the fact that
people
you got
would
'em.
pop a couple of NyQuil or something before like French class and try and fall asleep at the back of the class, and it was the most idiotic shit
I can
ever.
imagine like. So you know the person that's taking it, and it's like nudging each other.
Yeah,
like,
everybody
is he
was just
dropping off?
looking. Everybody was just looking at the back of the class like,
Is he dropping off? His eyes.
has Greg fallen asleep?
I saw
no.
his eyes closed. Then I saw. Did he blink or did he?
It's madness. It's madness.
Oh, right.
Anyway, so my other story is called Me and Mr. Wahid. Paint a picture for you. I took ICT, which is basically computers, as an option in year 9, year 10. I can't remember.
It's year 9 options, but it's like year 10 in it, I think.
Yeah. And about that time, when I was about 14, 15, I just gave up on school, really. But I didn't actually give up. I gave up to a point. So, bit of context here. I knew I couldn't fail school, but I didn't want to try.
Yeah.
So, I did this middle ground where the way I'd sort of simplify it is like, if you got like a month behind on work, 4 or 5 weeks, the school was gonna, you were on a downward slope there.
Yeah.
They were gonna ring your parents. Your parents were gonna find out.
Yeah.
And if it came to a certain point, you were gonna get thrown out. So I didn't do that. That wasn't an option for me because I couldn't fail. So what
like a functioning alcoholic, like just
yeah, exactly like that. What I did was I kept myself. I managed to maintain for long enough a cushion of like being 3 weeks behind, 2-3 weeks behind. So if every week, I say you have to do like an A4 sheet of paper writing, like a work sheet or whatever, a piece of coursework, I was 2 to 3 weeks behind all the time. So that way, I would be looking at scraping a C. I wouldn't fail, but I would pass without doing any effort.
Yeah.
Which was the ideal for me at the time. That was my goal, basically. So in ICT, I was about 3 weeks behind. And the teacher was really nice, nice guy, young guy. And in class, you could talk to him, but he gave you no inkling of why. I knew I was behind on work, but he didn't grill me for the work. It was just like, if you're behind, you are behind.
Yeah, catch up, but you're behind. Yeah.
So he wasn't chasing me down for this work. So at about Christmas time, sort of halfway through the year, parents' evening gets called, which is basically where I think sometimes it's optional if you go. I didn't go to everyone, but you and your parents go and meet your teachers and they tell you how you're doing. I show up to parents' evening. I think I must have been 15. My parents there sit down at the table with Mr. Wahid, and he says, all of a sudden he's very serious, and he says, at the minute you're looking at an E. And this is one of those moments where I wish I could have seen. I had an out-of-body experience and could see myself, because the look on my face must have been incredible. The sheer betrayal of this. He didn't tell me this beforehand.
I'll say this for the parents.
Yeah, he must have been saving this up. And the look on my parents' face must have been a picture as well.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
This was like next level Game of Thrones. Machiavellianism. The crushing damage that this did to me. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. He's a perfectly nice guy in class, could talk to him, and then parents' evening, bang, he crushed me. He stomped on me. He stomped on me. Wasn't expecting it at all. My parents looked at me, faces of thunder.
You fucked it.
Honestly, I don't think I ever recovered in school from that point. And my parents didn't know I was like behind on work and things like that.
Yeah.
But the sheer betrayal, man. Oh, Jesus.
Just like, well.
Yeah,
what do you say to that?
I don't know what I said. But the look I must have got from my parents.
I can imagine just.
And my parents were expecting me to get like good grades, A's and B's. And he said I was on an E. You don't goof. Jesus.
Just like sits back with a smile.
Yeah. And then the next week in class, turn up. Like nothing ever happened.
Still working hard, Dan.
Yeah. You got that work for me. I was like, fuck off. I'm not doing any work for you now. You've just crushed me.
You just viced my testicles. I'm not.
Yeah. Jesus.
No, parents' evening. I never had any bad parents' evenings. Me.
You see, the thing is, like, that was the one. That night, all the other teachers said I was doing all right. Some subjects I did well in, and some of them I was sort of middle of the pack. That was the only parents' evening I ever went to where somebody bollocked me like that.
Yeah.
That was the worst parent-teacher comment I ever had at a parents' evening. And he sprung it on them.
When that happens as well, all the other reports you've had that night, they're gone.
They're in doubt. Yeah.
That's just out the window. It's just that E lad.
Yeah. Jesus. So thanks for that, if you're listening.
If you're tuning in, is it Mr. Wahid, is it?
Yeah, Mr. Wahid. Although that wasn't his actual name.
Was it not?
No, that was the name I just gave him.
All right. Cool. On to the last story now. Last one. It's a big one. It's called Teacher versus Student.
Oh,
World War Three.
oh, what a title! You've got me.
You're gripped.
I'm a paying customer already.
It's a bit of a Sun headline, but you know what it is. So I was a good kid at school. I'm not gonna try and. I was never naughty. People try and be like, oh yeah, got sent out me. Nah, I was a good kid.
Yeah, I mean, I was a good kid, but I just didn't do the work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean you. I mean, some people like to paint the picture of themselves like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. But I mean,
No, I couldn't do that.
I had my group of mates, and then we just like got along with shit. But like I said before, stuff just happened that we happened to be around, and it was just. So in year 10 again, this is, and we had a year 10 and year 11 canteen. So like just where the year 10s and year 11s ate, and it was like it wasn't called the juniors canteen, but it was like the lower years.
It's fine dining. Swan. Grouse.
Roast
Partridge.
pig served by the principal. It was So yeah, we're in the canteen, and this to me, it's a bit ashamedly, but I think to every lad in high school, I don't know how girls felt about it, but one of the best sounds you can hear in high school is just a foghorn shout of fight. Just fuck.
That is music to my ears. Like.
And when I was thinking of this story, I was thinking, who's the guy that's like, who's the guy that's chosen to spread the word? You know what I mean? Like, if there's a fight, I'm not gonna, quick, get the others. Like,
Yeah, he becomes a beef eater or something.
yeah, you're rounding you up like, get it.
A fucking air raid warden or whatever.
Yeah. Ring the bell. Like the flame on the beacons in the deep. So yeah, I mean, and that rings out in the canteen. So I'm
the days.
And animal instincts. You just run. You just like the meal's off the cart. So sat down with mates. We just like leg it out. And basically the fight is like we had different blocks. So like I said before, it's all kind of set outside if you're not in lesson. In different blocks, like different buildings set across this kind of outdoor campus. It was on the one next to the canteen. So off and running, and the crowd's big. I mean, we're at the block right next to it, but the crowd is big.
Thriller Manila.
It was a big money fight, this one. It was. So running, and I just hear shouting and just general kerfuffles. And I'm
Kerfuffles.
you know what it is. I'm trying to lighten the mood.
A raucous.
So we're kind of like pushing through, like trying to get near the front, like what's going on here. And I definitely hear a woman's voice shouting. So at first I'm thinking, teachers got here, splitting the fight up. Get to the front, it's a student and a teacher.
Oh my god.
I don't know if I told you this story before.
I don't think you have.
But they're not fighting with each other, but they're like pretty much squaring up, and it's like this teacher, PE and science teacher she was like 40-year-old.
She's a woman.
Yes, that's the woman's voice I'm hearing. But the other person is a lad, year 11 lad. They're not fighting. They're not fighting. They're just squaring off and shouting. I mean, that's just an insane situation in itself. Just like, and they're just like insults, like not even like answering back to her. They're both as angry as each other. I mean, the insults are pretty substandard, but they're pretty brutal. I mean,
savage,
like a Sunday league tackle. But he's got some classics. I mean, he was this lad, year 11, absolute cretin. Just he's got the classics. I fucking hate you. Just standard stuff. But she's coming back like, oh, fuck off back home, like, go crying to your dad.
Oh,
and this
Jesus.
teacher, like, I mean, she must have had some sort of mental breakdown that day. I don't know what was that. But, so, you can't make this stuff up, really, because it's just, like, you just couldn't even, it doesn't sound real unless you were there. But, so, shouting at each other, it felt like at 5 minutes, it was probably like 30 seconds, because, like, obviously things get taken down, but things took a turn. Right. they're shouting at each other. This guy lets out a laugh. What movie is he playing now?
Cackle.
What movie is he gonna play? And he goes, he absolutely checkmates her. He goes, "You're getting fucking fired, you."
He's done it. He's gained higher realisation. He was seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Than I see.
He's got out of his body and just fully realised himself there.
He's had a bit of astral projection.
Yeah,
It's gone.
"You're getting fucking fired, you." And she's just like explodes into like extremities and just general 40-year-old woman like.
Is that what she was?
Yeah, like 40 plus, like honestly. And then after that, teachers come in, everyone just pegs it off. Scar. Yeah, and then basically, I'm guessing she had some sort of mental breakdown. She turned up again 6 months later. Like, I don't know why.
Not
she
the
went,
same.
Yeah. Just a drone, you know. Like. But I mean, yeah, I wish I'd made it up.
So there was no actual fight.
Yeah, it was just them two arguing with each other, but like
A verbal.
but not squaring up, but close enough where it's like.
Yeah.
But oh, God, it was what a lunch.
That was the beef casserole of 2009.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess those two stories paint a picture of my school. But, you know how it is. So yeah, those are two stories.
Do you have any other possible titles going?
I had a few ideas, a bit more light-hearted because I thought, do I go like in deep or? So I've got The Table Sneeze. I mean, do I give a quick synopsis or just
Yeah,
title?
if you want.
So I mean, this is a very light-hearted story. So basically, just in history, we're sitting next to my mate doing a test. This guy's next to me, a guy I know. His tiny shoelaces. He just sneezes and just. So he's tying his shoelaces with his head above the table.
I've heard this.
And just sneezes and just headbutts the table. And just lays into the table.
Jesus.
Short but sweet. Another one was, I guess I'm having a fight, which is where I somehow ended up being arranged to have a fight, but I never actually did, which was a weird one. And then the last one was Crazy Frog and the Mother's Phone Call, which is, quick overview, basically inform everyone's getting told off, and the same lad that headbutted the table, everyone's getting grilled, he just hear ling ling ling, and it was his mum calling him. Oh, there we go. They were my stories.
Other possible titles I had: school presentation,
Always a good.
which is basically the end of
Full
school
apology.
presentation that we did,
Oh, I know that.
and all you could see was my hat.
He made his mark on the school. He really.
I've got a big legacy there. The other big smash hit was How I Almost Died Gorge Walking.
I mean, we get mutilated hands near death.
It was a very physical experience for me.
I think after that you'd be in the school presentation quite a bit. The bloopers reel.
Yeah. And the only other one I had that tied into the giving up on school, geography teacher begs me for work. Which is more of a sad story, really, when I think about it.
This guy's on his last straw, and he's like, please.
Yeah, Jesus.
Oh, and that was, yeah. There's our stories.
Yeah.
A bit more comedic than last week with our American election. So hopefully you enjoyed the show. If you've got any school stories, send them in. Like,
any
we'd love
comments
to hear it. And yeah, they just love to know. So for next week, watch what's it called?
In Your Eyes.
In Your Eyes, which is a 4 and a bit star independent film that I have no faith in whatsoever.
Oh God.
So yeah, so just at the end, watch the film, send us your thoughts, hit us up on Twitter, Gmail, YouTube. All links will be there, andchillpod. Any last thoughts?
No, have a good week.
Yeah, have a good week, and see you next Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Bye bye.